Hello my beautiful friends, and welcome back to another video. I hope you're doing so very well. I'm really excited to bring you along for a few days this week and show you what I've been eating and some meals that I have been really loving. A little bit of a side note as well that my partner is away this week, so I'm just going to be cooking for myself. Hopefully that will be helpful to those of you who live alone or typically are only cooking for one. If you're new here, by the way, hello and welcome. My name is Amanda. I have been vegan for over 9 years and I love cooking and eating plant-based food. Anyway, it is a chilly morning this morning and I am really in the mood for something hearty, so let's get into making a delicious hearty vegan breakfast. Okay, so for breakfast I started by cutting up a brown onion, dicing it, and then I also cut up some sun-dried tomatoes. I love sun-dried tomatoes so much. I feel like they elevate so many things so easily. Then I transferred these into a frying pan with a little bit of olive oil and then added in some cannellini beans as well as some soy sauce and some tomato sauce, some water, as well as some liquid smoke. And I continued stirring this, mixing it together, adding in some nutritional yeast to thicken it up and add an extra punch of flavor. I cooked that down for like 10 to 15 minutes and then served it on a piece of toasted sourdough. I also really like topping a homemade baked beans with some cashew cream, so that's exactly what I did. And then of course, to go with my my baked beans, I made myself an iced cacao. We may be in the heart of winter, but I still love my iced cacao. So that is what I had for breakfast this day, which was just honestly the most ideal way to start the day. I absolutely loved it and went into the day feeling good. Then when it came to lunchtime, I started with some tofu. Do you guys remember a few years ago when I didn't even eat tofu? Crazy. Now I know how to cook with it and I love it so much. I cut up half of a block of tofu into cubes, put it into a bowl with some corn flour as well as some vegan chicken stock powder, and I mixed this together until it was well coated, transferred to a baking tray, drizzled with a bit of oil, and then put it in the oven to bake for about 15 to 20 minutes. Whilst that started to bake, I cut up some leftover cauliflower as well as a fresh head of broccoli that I had in the fridge. Just cut these into florets and then transferred them into a bowl. Once they were in the bowl, I then also added in some soy sauce as well as a bit of teriyaki sauce, a little bit of olive oil as well as some black sesame seeds and a little bit of maple syrup. I tossed this together until they were all really nice and well coated, and then put these onto another baking tray and put them into the oven to bake, drizzling the rest of the sauce on top as well. Then I also put some rice on to cook and I put that over the stove, about half a cup of rice to cook away. Into a bowl I made a sauce with some cashew butter as well as some soy sauce and some rice wine vinegar. I started whisking this together, and once it started to mix together, I added in some water to thin it out and get it to the desired consistency. And then of course it is time to assemble, so I put my cooked rice as well as some fresh spinach, that delicious teriyaki broccoli and cauliflower, the crispy tofu, the creamy cashew butter sauce on top, as well as some black sesame seeds to garnish. And this was my lunch, a super delicious and nourishing bowl, which keeps me feeling nice and fueled for the rest of the day. I was working from home this day and needed a little afternoon sweetie treaty, and so I had some of this chocolate that I love so much. Oh my goodness, I am literally obsessed with this chocolate. When my boyfriend and I get a bar of it, we eat it so ridiculously quickly. Then when it came to dinner time, I am making this pasta, which honestly is a new favorite for me. I start by cutting up some brown onion, just dicing it, as well as some garlic. Then I'm using some chickpea tempeh, which I love chickpea tempeh so much. Even though I love tofu, I still love going back to my tempeh from time to time. And today I decided to crumble up this tempeh and then into a frying pan I'm going to add in that onion and garlic, start frying that up, and then also put a saucepan of water on to boil whilst that is frying. And then I'm going to add in all of this crumbled tempeh and start frying this all up as well, adding in a little bit of soy sauce to give it some flavor, as well as some tomato paste. I'm continuing to mix this all together, then adding in some tinned tomatoes, again continuing to mix it all together, adding in some nutritional yeast and some vegan beef stock powder, as well as some raw sugar, and leaving this to cook on a low heat. Once my water was all boiled, I added in some spaghetti to cook away. And once my spaghetti was all cooked, I drained the water out, and then I transferred the pasta in with this tempeh bolognese is what I'm calling it, although it's very basic, probably just like a tempeh tomato pasta. I transferred this into a bowl to enjoy it, and this was so easy to make and also a really good high protein option. I've been really enjoying adding more protein into my meals lately and really consciously doing so, and this was just absolutely divine. The next day I started my morning with a smoothie. So I started with some frozen bananas, frozen raspberries, as well as some macadamia milk. Then I also added in a whole big spoonful of some almond butter before adding in some chia seeds, as well as maca powder and some cacao powder. And then I'm going to put the lid on and blend it all together. I have really been enjoying having smoothies lately. I think I had forgotten how much I love them, and I used to eat smoothies and smoothie bowls every single day of my life a few years ago. So it's nice to get back into it and just be reminded of how good they make me feel, and also just how good they taste. I love being able to put whatever I want in it and just enjoy it. And then when it came to making lunch, I started with half of a head of cauliflower, and I cut up this half a head of cauliflower into florets. Once I'd cut it all up, I transferred it into a bowl, and into the bowl I had already put some olive oil, as well as some harissa seasoning, salt and some pepper, and I added the cauliflower in and tossed it all well until it was well coated before transferring onto a baking tray with some chickpeas and putting it in the oven to roast. Whilst it's roasting away, I also made this really yummy sauce with some natural coconut yogurt, lemon juice, some cucumber, some dill, some salt and some pepper, and I mixed it together until it was nice and smooth. I'd also been cooking up some brown rice, and so into a bowl I put some brown rice, some fresh spinach, that roasted cauliflower and chickpeas, this delicious coconut yogurt dip, and this was my lunch today. It was super delicious and super easy to put together. So I'm just cutting up an apple to have as a little snack. I think I mentioned in my recent video that I am really loving fruit at the moment, leaning way more into it as a snack, and I always eat more of it when I cut it up. So that's what I've been doing lately. But while we're here, I wanted to say a big thank you to my friends at Cosmic Cookware who have very kindly sponsored today's video, and I guess it's a bit of a special one today because this is me letting you know it's going to be your last opportunity to use my discount code with Cosmic Cookware, which is AmandaCosmic10. It gets you 10% off. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, well, what I am talking about is all of the gorgeous pots and pans that I use for my cooking. They are all from Cosmic Cookware, and I've been using them for goodness knows, well over a year, maybe 2 years now, and I absolutely love using them in my cooking. I feel like they're almost like a triple threat when it comes to cooking because first of all, they are really, really gorgeous. So if you're someone like me who does like gorgeous cookware and gorgeous things in the kitchen, then you can see why I enjoy them in that way so much. As well as that, they have a non-stick coating which make them super easy to clean and to cook with, and as well as that, they're toxic free and chemical free. So I really love using this cookware for all of those reasons, and we love it so much in our home. If you're ever looking to treat yourself to some really gorgeous cookware, or perhaps treat someone else in your life to some gorgeous cookware, I feel like they make a beautiful gift to yourself or to someone else. And like I mentioned, I do have a discount code which is AmandaCosmic10, which gets you 10% off. That code is coming to an end in the middle of August, so if you've ever thought about purchasing something using my code with Cosmic Cookware, now is definitely the time to do so. I genuinely love this cookware so much. It has lasted us so well in our home. It's genuinely the only cookware that we do use in our home, and I just think it's absolutely absolutely gorgeous, and I'm grateful to have been able to work with them for such a long time. I will leave everything linked below if you want to check them out, and thanks so much to Cosmic Cookware for working with me and sponsoring this video. Also, this apple is really good. So I'm feeling a little bit inspired and like having fun and doing something a bit different for dinner tonight, and I've been thinking about how delicious a like creamy pasta would be with something like charred corn through it. And then as I was thinking about that, I was like, actually, like it would be fun to make it like a creamy kind of pasta salad situation with like red capsicum and red onion and charred corn and stuff through it. And I guess like things that I would normally serve with like Mexican food, but putting it through a creamy pasta. I don't know if this is even gonna work and taste that good, but I thought that it would just be really yummy. So I thought that I would give it a go tonight. Even if I end up not liking it, at least I gave it a go and I can stop thinking about it. So that is what I'm going to do for dinner tonight, and we'll see how it goes. I really hope my microphone picked up those kookaburras just then, because it sounded like there was like 3 or 4 kookaburras just like singing and laughing near my house. Anyway, I just love kookaburras. They're like one of my top 3 favorite birds. Okay, so for this dinner, I'm starting with some onion. I feel like I've started with onion in like nearly every recipe in this video, but anyway, we've got some onion and some garlic, and into a frying pan, I am putting them with some melted vegan butter. Whilst that's frying up, I also cut up some corn, still figuring out the best way to go about this, to be honest. And into a frying pan, I put some oil and added in all of those corn kernels that I had cut off the cob. Whilst this was all frying up, I then cut up some red capsicum, which I diced finely. I also diced up some red onion that I diced finely, and I also diced up some red tomatoes that I diced finely, but some green spinach, I'm sorry to say. I then, into a blender, added in the fried onion and garlic, as well as some nutritional yeast, some plain flour, some vegetable stock powder, as well as some lemon juice and some oat milk, some salt and some pepper. And I'm going to put the lid on and blend this all together until it is nice and smooth. Then into some boiling water, I'm going to add in some macaroni pasta and leave that to cook away. Whilst into the other frying pan, I am going to add in the creamy sauce that I had just blended together, and I added in a little bit of vegan butter to this as well to melt with it. And then once the pasta is all cooked, I'm adding it in with the creamy sauce, followed by that charred corn as well as the fresh veggies that I had cut up. In hindsight, I decided that I think this would be better as like a cold pasta salad kind of vibe, so I think that's what I'll do for it next time. But regardless, I did really enjoy it. I just didn't completely nail it the first time, but I mean, that would make things a little bit boring, wouldn't it? I am so excited to get into making lunch today because I went to the grocery store recently looking for some puff pastry, and I found some filo pastry that is vegan. I don't know if it was just a me thing assuming that it wasn't vegan, but I've avoided cooking with it the whole time I've been vegan because I assumed that it was filled with butter. Anyway, this one is vegan and I'm really excited to get into cooking with it because I make these really yummy vegan spinach and ricotta like pastry things. I've been making them for years on end. I use tofu and cashews as like the ricotta along with lots of other delicious things, and yeah, it's really yummy. But when I saw this, I thought, wow, it would be even more delicious in delicious filo pastry. So that is what I'm gonna do for lunch today and just see how it turns out. I'm really excited to get into making it, and also really excited to get to share it in this video, because if it works out, I think it'll be something that you'll want to try it at home. So yeah, let's get into making a hopefully delicious lunch today. To make this delicious lunch, I started by putting some cashews in some boiling water and leaving them to soak. And then I am cutting up some brown onion. I'm dicing some brown onion, and then also cutting up some garlic as well, dicing it nice and well. And then into a frying pan, I'm adding in the said onion and said garlic. Wow, I ate a lot of onion and garlic in these few days. I am now learning. I also added in some frozen spinach, which I wilted down, and then into my food processor I added the soaked cashews, as well as some firm tofu, some lemon juice, some nutritional yeast, veggie stock powder, and a little bit of olive oil, and I blitzed this together for a couple of minutes. Then I added in the spinach, onion, and garlic mixture and continued blending this all together until it was nice and smooth. With the filo pastry, I would get one sheet and then brush some olive oil on, add another sheet, brush some olive oil, and then add a third sheet before evenly dispersing the mixture like so. And I decided to roll this all up and then roll it into like this little twirl shape sort of thing. And I ended up making enough mixture for two, so I just made a second one that I could enjoy during the rest of the week. And I put both of these on a baking tray, brushed with a little bit more olive oil, and then sprinkled with some black sesame seeds before putting them in the oven to bake. And when it came to serving, I just put some tomato relish as well as some fresh greens on the plate with this delicious pastry. And oh my goodness, it was absolutely amazing. I was very happy and impressed with how this turned out. In the afternoon, I had a little sweet treat moment with my favorite chocolate at the moment, this chewy caramel by Loco Love, which is just so absolutely divine. Look at this caramel. It is absolutely insane. I honestly could eat one of these every day. And yeah, it was really delicious. It went down very well. When it came to dinner time, I started by putting some oil into a frying pan, adding in some onion and some garlic and frying that up. I also added in some soy sauce as well as some gochujang and some miso paste, and continued mixing this together before adding in some water and continuing to mix together. I also added in some peanut butter as well as some soy milk, and you guessed it, I continued mixing it all together before taking it off the heat and heating another frying pan with some oil as well as some corn. Then I am also crumbling in some tempeh like I did earlier in the week. This is such a great way to have tempeh if you haven't already. Crumbled is so good. I also fried up some broccoli with the corn and the tempeh, and then it is time to serve this delicious peanut noodle soup is what I would call it. So I added in some noodles with that peanut broth, topped it with the veggies and tempeh mixture, as well as some spring onions and some black sesame seeds on top. This was so incredibly delicious and brings us to the end of what I ate in a few days as a vegan. I hope you enjoyed this video and got some delicious meal ideas from it, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Have a beautiful day.